Vision. What is it? Vision is a physical, mental, and spiritual phenomena of enlightenment. My name? My name is Reverend Dr. Leonidas A. Johnson, better known as Rev. Leonidas the Optometrist. I'm an ordained minister and licensed optometrist. I've also studied acupuncture and integrative medicine. I'm a board-certified health coach and have a license to practice massage therapy and Asian bodywork. I want to welcome you to Vision Crossroads, the place where we gather at the intersection of light and sight to focus on health, wellness, and fullness of life. Vision Crossroads is a 12-episode podcast featuring the 7 principal precepts of my phenomenal VIP program, officially known as the Rev. Leonidas the Optometrist Phenomenal Vision, Intervention and Prevention Visual Literacy Program. Completion of all 12 episodes of Vision Crossroads is required to be eligible to receive a certificate of completion. It may also be required that the participants pass a quiz at the end of the program. Life is full of crossroads. When we come to a fork in the road, how do we decide which way to go? Maybe you made a bad decision and now you are standing at a crossroad, a fork in the road, wondering what should you do? What step should you take? What move should you make? Wondering and wondering, what should you do? Vision Crossroads, featuring the Phenomenal VIP program, is designed to help you understand and be more familiar with the decision-making process when making life-changing decisions in your life. The lyrics to the song entitled Live Your Best Life by Brent Jones states, "It's good to be alive, but it's best to live." I like to say it a different way. It's good to be alive, but it's best to thrive. I've been helping people to see more clearly for over 40 years, and I want to help you see how vision can help you grab all the gusto life has to offer. I want to help you focus more clearly on human volition, also known as human will or willpower. Volition is the mental and emotional process of deciding what to feel, think, and do. Mental processes include psychosocial processes. Helping you to see human volition more clearly is my hope and prayer that you become more comfortable and efficient in making important life-changing decisions in your life. Living your best life means making major lifestyle choices. For instance, you must make important decisions about smoking, alcohol abuse, physical exercise, diet, sleep, water intake, substance abuse, and sexual activity. Living your best life also requires making decisions about what is truth and decisions about the meaning and purpose of life. Kirk Franklin talks about making your next chapter your best chapter in his song entitled Love Theory. Do you want your next chapter to be your best chapter? In the words of S.M. Lockridge, the decision is yours. Let's talk about vision and how vision can not only help you make your next chapter your best chapter, but also how vision can help you live your best life and experience the fullness of life. To walk in the fullness of life, there must be a newness in your view of life. This program was written and produced by me, Reverend Dr. Leonidas Johnson, and is presented to you by the Rev. Leonidas the Optometrist and the Miracle Eyes Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Copyright 2025, the Johnson Living Trust. Episode 4, Comparison Learning and Spiritual Vision. The eye is a special organ because, for one, the eye is part of the brain. A second reason why the eye is special is because the human eye is the magnificent and mystical organ that is the heart of this mysterious thing called vision. Vision is special because, for one, physical vision is our most dominant sense. A second reason why vision is so special is because vision, phenomenal vision, is key to unlocking the many mysteries of life. Vision, phenomenal vision, vision that incorporates not only the physical but also the mental and spiritual realities of life, helps us perceive, process, and make sense of not only physical realities but also psychosocial, mental, and mystical spiritual realities. Spiritual vision is like physical vision in many ways. Metaphorically speaking, we not only have a physical eye, we also have a mental eye. Our mental eye is often referred to as our mind's eye. We also have spiritual vision. Some refer to the pineal gland as the third eye that also serves as a type of spiritual eye. This is not what I'm referring to when I speak of spiritual vision. The pineal gland has played a prominent role in many religious traditions and was associated with the third eye of Horus in ancient Egyptian culture. It may be possible to stimulate the pineal gland to release a powerful psychoactive psychedelic compound naturally produced by the body called N-dimethyltryptamine, DMT for short. This chemical is believed to be released at birth, during dreaming, and at near-death experiences. The release of this chemical may be accomplished through the practice of some forms of meditation and has been linked to enhance mental clarity, creativity, and spiritual enlightenment. Accessing this altered state of consciousness is a physiological phenomenon related to mental vision, not spiritual vision. If the physical eye is responsible for producing physical vision, and the mind's eye is responsible for producing mental vision, then what is responsible for producing spiritual vision? Remember principle percept number 1. If there is no light, there is no sight. Just as light is required for physical vision in our outer physical world, and mental light is required for mental vision in our psychosocial mental inner world, spiritual light is required for spiritual vision in the non-physical, metaphysical world that includes religion and spirituality. Spiritual light comes from the Spirit of God. Physical light, electromagnetic radiation, has a dual nature. It behaves as a wave and a particle. Mental light, imagination, has a dual nature. It is both nature and nurture. Spiritual light is both human and divine spirit. Spiritual light is like a candle in the midst of darkness. Spiritual light is needed to reveal hidden spiritual treasures, traps, and dangers. Spiritual light is needed for spiritual insight and spiritual enlightenment. Spiritual light is profitable for making decisions concerning truth. Spiritual light helps us see physical and non-physical phenomena from a unique perspective, God's perspective. The physical eyeball is the organ for physical vision. The mind is the organ for mental vision. And faith is the organ for spiritual vision. Faith serves the same function for spiritual vision as the physical eye serves for physical vision and the mind serves for mental vision. Faith brings spiritual truths into clear focus. Spiritual vision is based on faith. Spiritual vision is not based on blind faith. It's based on available information from various sources, including science. Physicist, mathematician, and astronomer Dr. Michael Gullin speaks of translogical thinking when he talks about the difference between blind faith and faith that is information-driven. Faith, the result of a decision-making process based on all available information, is used in the process of scientific methodology, mathematics, physics, astronomy, and religion. In his book, Believing is Seeing, a physicist explains how science shattered his atheism and revealed the necessity of faith. Dr. Gillen writes, I learned that galaxies in deep space are not randomly distributed, but are arrayed in an elegant three-dimensional pattern. I learned that the universe is expanding like crazy, implying that everything in it, mass, energy, space, time, is the aftermath of a cosmic-sized explosion. I learned that 95% of the observable universe is invisible to us, and that beyond it is an unobservable universe that is 100% invisible to us. The human eye acts as an antenna, a receptor to the physical world. Our mind's eye acts as an antenna, a receptor to our psychosocial mental world. The mind's eye is able to pierce the human soul and give us views of our emotions, our mind, and our volition. Human volition, you may recall, refers to our willpower, our free will. Our spiritual eye, our eye of faith, acts as an antenna, a receptor to the spiritual world, a world mostly non-physical and invisible to the physical eye. Just as the retina is a sensor of physical light to bring physical realities into clear focus, the spiritual eye is a sensor of spiritual light to bring spiritualities, spiritual enlightenment, and internal truths into clear focus. Spiritual vision is required to safely navigate our spiritual journey. Our spiritual journey starts the moment we are cast upon the seashore of life. However, for most, the conscious start of our spiritual journey begins with a simple question such as, who am I? Where did I come from? What is my purpose in life? Is there life after death? Is there a God? Is the Bible really God's revelation of himself? Is what the Bible says about God true? Then there is Jesus. Was Jesus really crucified, dead, buried, and resurrected from the dead? Is it true that the Bible is the greatest story ever told, containing the most daring rescue ever attempted, inspired by the greatest love ever known? Why do some people say that the Bible is an acronym for B, basic, I, instructions, B, before, L, leaving, E, earth? How do you know if a religion is authentic or a scam, helpful or harmful, based on truth or based on a lie? What is truth? Is truth relative, or is there an absolute truth based in reality? The moment you start asking yourself any of these types of questions is the moment you begin your spiritual journey. The Bible states, and without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. The answers to some questions in life simply cannot be brought into clear focus if you are spiritually blind. I was listening to Stevie Wonder's radio station, Radio Free 102.3 KJLH, when I heard Levi Who Loves You Booker say, "We are spiritual beings having an earthly experience, not earthly beings trying to have a spiritual experience." We do not need to travel around the world looking for a special spiritual experience, or spend hours upon hours meditating, or talk a certain way to convince others that we are a spiritual person. We are spiritual beings by nature. Psalms 34, verse 18 states that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. James chapter 4, verse 9 says, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you." And Acts chapter 17, verse 27 says, God is actually not far from each one of us. Aristotle's linear deductive logic is the basis of scientific methodology. Many important questions in life about life require the use of not only deductive logic, but also inductive logic. Some answers require the use of circular logic, like that found in Eastern thought. Circular or cyclical theories like yin and yang theory and five-phase theory are common in traditional East Asian medicine, Eastern religions, and Eastern philosophies. Spiritual vision requires flexibility in thinking and the use of multiple types of logic such as deductive, inductive, circular or cyclical logic, and translogical thinking. I discuss the importance of using multiple forms of logic in my original published work entitled A Particular Visual Enlightenment, a refraction of science, religion, and health on wellness and fullness of life. Spiritual vision also gives us the ability to safely navigate the spiritual world. Spiritual vision gives us enhanced sensitivity to spiritual entities and energies. Spiritual vision can help guide us in the field of energy medicine. The long history of natural and holistic energy medicine is documented in the Hongdai Neijing. The Hongdai Neijing, also known as the Yellow Emperor's Inner Classic, is an ancient book of medical knowledge that was compiled over a period of time, likely between the 4th and 2nd centuries BC during China's Warring States period and the Han Dynasty. The Hongdai Neijing is a foundation for the modern practice of traditional East Asian medicine, which consists of 4 pillars: acupuncture, herbal medicine, Tuina massage, and Qigong exercise. Traditional East Asian medicine is well documented, has a long history, and its effectiveness has been verified in modern peer-reviewed medical literature. The manipulation of the flow and movement of qi in the body, which can be thought of as a form of life energy, with needles, herbs, pressure points, and specific physical movements for balance and optimum health, is foundational to the practice of traditional East Asian medicine. Many cultures around the world practice natural and holistic healing using the energy of life in and around us, but may be less documented and tested in modern medical literature. Many of these traditions include the practice of meditation. There are many documented health benefits associated with the practice of meditation. Risks associated with accessing life energy involves the close connection and continuum that may exist between accessing natural life energy and accessing spiritual entities. Life energy is sometimes described as being positive, negative, or neutral. For example, some people can be described as giving off positive energy or vibrations, while others may be described as giving off negative vibrations or negative energy. Generally, people who are positive-minded are generally encouraging, have a positive outlook on life, and give off positive vibrations and energy, while people who are negative-minded are generally discouraging, have a negative outlook on life, and give off negative vibrations and energy. It's difficult to flourish in a negative and harsh environment, but not impossible. No matter what your living situation or station in life is, good spiritual vision makes it possible to not only survive, but thrive. The source of energy in life may be likened or compared to the energy from the sun. For example, the light energy from the sun can be considered as a direct source of energy, while light from the moon can be considered as an indirect source of light energy. The moon has no inherent light and only reflects the light from the sun. So it can be said about various sources of energy in life. The source of energy in life can be said to come directly from God or indirectly from sources that merely reflect God's light. Life energy can be positive or negative. Positive energy can be said to come from God or other spiritual beings or entities that are a reflection of God, such as angels, in the practice of some religions and religious cults. Negative energy can be said to come from Satan or other demonic spiritual beings or entities that are a reflection of Satan, such as the invitation for demonic possession as practiced in some religious cults, Satanism, witchcraft, black magic, and fortune-telling mediums. Neutral energy can be said to be related to natural laws of science where health benefits are more associated with the physiological aspects of physics than with the spiritual dimensions of life. Ancestors may possibly represent neutral spiritual beings whose earthly existence is ended, but their final eternal station has yet to be confirmed or judged. Energy medicine seeks to study and practice accessing and manipulating energy for health benefits. The most notable practice of energy medicine includes traditional East Asian medicine. A central focus of energy medicine includes the study of the human biofield and subtle energy. Quantum physics and advances in neurosciences have served as a bridge connecting Western allopathic medicine with the practice of some ancient forms of traditional medicine that focus on vital life force subtle energy. Energy medicine may include subtle energy practices such as acupuncture, quantum or pro-conscious medicine, meditation, yoga, sound baths, sound therapy, healing touch, and Reiki. More powerful energetic therapies include extracorporeal shock wave therapy and infrared and laser light therapies. Spiritual vision gives us a sensitivity to not only subtle energy but spiritual entities. The Bible states, God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. A biblical name for God that means I am the Lord who heals you is Jehovah Rapha, conveying that God is by nature not only a spirit but a healer. Spiritual vision gives us the ability to see and evaluate with a spiritual eye practices that may tap into neutral, benevolent, or malevolent sources and resources to heal. For example, the practice of healing touch or Reiki could be driven by natural science and laws of physics, or spiritually driven by spiritual laws and practices that are either godly or satanic in origin. Spiritual vision gives us a worldview. What does that mean? Worldview is a particular philosophy of life, a way of looking at the world. Spiritual vision gives a look at life from a different point of view, from a different vantage point, from a higher vantage point, from a higher ground, from a bird's eye view. Spiritual vision, just like mental vision, is like physical vision in many ways. Principle percept number 1 states that where there is no light, there is no sight. No spiritual light, no spiritual sight. Spiritual light has a dual nature. It has 2 components. It can be viewed as being human and divine. It is also helpful to think of spiritual light as having a predestination component and free will component. Spiritual light involves both God's spirit and human spirit. Spiritual light is the dynamic of 2 wills, the interaction between the will of God and the will of man, the entanglement between God's will and human will. Let's take a brief look at human will. Human will is located within the human soul. According to the 3 dimensions of human existence philosophy, also known as Tdohe, Tdohe philosophy, humans are triune beings composed of a body, soul, and spirit. According to this philosophy, The human soul is also triune in nature, composed of our emotions, mind, and volition. The first component of the human soul is human emotion. Human emotion is a complex reaction pattern involving experiential, behavioral, physiological elements by which an individual attempts to deal with a personally significant matter or event. Some psychologists suggest that there are 6 basic emotions: happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, and disgust. Other psychologists suggest that there are 8 basic emotions: joy, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust, adding trust and anticipation. The second component of the human soul is the human mind. The human mind is the cognitive and psychosocial dimension of life. The third component of the human soul is human volition. Another name for human volition is human will or willpower. Human will or willpower is at the heart of the human soul and refers to the dynamic duel between what say the mind and what say the emotions. Human volition is like a control or command center. Human volition, that is, human free will or human willpower, is the emotional and mental process of making a decision about a specific emotional feeling and psychosocial mental belief and deciding to take a specific course of action or non-action based on this emotional and mental dance of entanglement. Human volition, that is, human will or human free will or human willpower, is the mental and emotional process of deciding what to feel, think, and do. As a review, where there is no light, there is no sight. Physical light has a dual nature. It behaves as a wave and as a particle. Mental light has a dual nature. It manifests as both nature and nurture. Spiritual light also has a dual nature. Spiritual light is both divine and human. Spiritual light can also be viewed as having a predestination and a free will component. Spiritual light involves God's will and human's will. The human will, or willpower, as you may recall, is the emotional and mental process of deciding on a particular course of action, such as deciding to believe that the Bible is the Word of God, or deciding to believe that Jesus is the light of the world, or deciding to submit to the will of God and lordship of Christ. Where there is no light, there is no sight. Spiritual light comes from God and has a dual nature. It is both the will of God and the will of man. Spiritual laws. Any discussion of spiritual vision also demands a discussion about the awareness of spiritual laws. Spiritual vision is subject to spiritual laws, just as physical vision is subject to natural physical laws. The one primary spiritual universal principle and law that one must be aware of is what I call, for learning purposes, the law of accountability. The law of accountability is a central tenet in many religions. The law of accountability is a biblically based principle and a common sense type law. It does not matter if your belief system is monotheistic, polytheistic, or atheistic. The law of accountability applies to all. The spiritual law of accountability is we must take responsibility for the life we live and the choices we make in life. We cannot blame anybody for the choices we make in life. We can choose our choices, but unfortunately, we cannot always choose the consequences of those choices. In the Bible, we find the greatest love story ever told and witness the most daring rescue ever attempted. It is the story about the one and only true and living God seeking a love relationship with humanity. In the biblical story of the Garden of Eden, God calls to Adam, but Adam and Eve hide themselves from God because they knew that they had disobeyed God. The Bible is the story of God's question from generation to generation, God's question that echoes through the corridors of time. God's question to each and every one of us is, where are you? The Bible is the story of how God softly and gently asks us to dance, like the Beth Midler song, Do You Want to Dance?, and enjoy each other's company in life. Since the Bible claims to be the Word of God, God's revelation of how and why He created us, and since the Bible continues to be the most sold and read book in the history of the world, I may periodically reference the Bible and treat it as a legitimate and credible source of spiritual information. For example, with regards to the spiritual law of accountability, the biblical reference that emphasizes personal responsibility for one's action can be found in Ezekiel 18, verse 20, where the prophet Ezekiel declares, "The soul that sinneth, it shall die." This concept is echoed in the Eastern idea of karma. Karma, originating from the Sanskrit and Pali as a word for action or deed, is a fundamental concept in the religions of Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism. Karma refers to a universal principle of cause and effect where an individual's actions and their intentions determine their future. Coupled with the law of accountability is the reality that life continues after physical death. Proof of this reality is found in the historical person and purpose of Jesus Christ, according to the Bible. What you choose to believe or not to believe regarding spiritual matters is your choice and is a reflection of your spiritual journey. You can choose your choices, but you cannot choose the consequences of those choices. I suggest that you choose wisely. The universal wheels of justice turn slow, but grind exceedingly fine. Ignorance of the universal principle and law of accountability is not a valid defense under the principle ignorantia juris non excusa, that is, ignorance of the law excuses no one. Other examples of spiritual laws found in the Bible include the Ten Commandments. Though they are referred to as commandments, they carry the weight of law. Comparison learning. Using the tool of comparison learning, principles of physical optics can be applied to living tissues like the human eye to understand how the eye works to produce physical vision. The principles of physical optics, when applied to living tissue, is called physiological optics. Using the tool of comparison learning, physical optics and physiological optics help us understand vision problems caused by refractive error conditions of myopia or nearsightedness, where near vision is clear but distance vision is out of focus, hyperopia or farsightedness, where far vision is clear but near vision is out of focus, and astigmatism, which both near and far vision is out of focus. Using the tool of comparison learning, we learned that mental vision can also be understood in terms of mental refractive error conditions such as mental myopia or mental nearsightedness, mental hyperopia or mental farsightedness, and mental astigmatism. Using comparison learning, we can see that spiritual vision can also be understood in terms of spiritual refractive error conditions, such as spiritual myopia or spiritual nearsightedness, spiritual hyperopia or spiritual farsightedness, and spiritual astigmatism. Myopia or nearsightedness is a physical vision refractive condition where near eyesight vision is better than far eyesight vision. With myopia, near close-range objects, like at 16 inches or 40 centimeters distance, are in clear focus, but distance far-range objects, like at 20 feet or 6 meters distance, are out of focus. Using learning by comparison, mental myopia, you may recall, is the mental vision refractive condition where near vision is in focus, but distance vision out of focus, where near and far is a measure in the dimension of time. With mental myopia or mental nearsightedness, near is a measure of past and present, and far is a measure of the future within the time-space-matter continuum. Spiritual myopia is also similar to physical myopia. Spiritual myopia is the spiritual vision refractive condition where near vision is in focus, but distance vision is out of focus, where near and far is a measure in the dimension of time, as is with mental vision. However, with spiritual nearsightedness, time is not confined to the time-space-matter continuum, as is with mental myopia, but rather extends from eternity to eternity. Spiritual myopia is the spiritual refractive condition where near vision, matters of carnal earthly existence, are in clear focus, but distance vision, matters of the human spirit and the eternal destiny of the soul, are out of focus. With spiritual myopia, matters that are beyond the time-space-matter continuum are out of focus. Matters that are beyond the limits of the time-space-matter continuum include questions related to our spiritual journey, questions concerning the meaning and purpose of life, questions concerning life after death, questions concerning God, questions concerning eternal truth, questions concerning the Bible, and questions concerning the gospel message. Time, energy, and effort of the person who is spiritually myopic, spiritually nearsighted, is spent focused on earthly, temporal matters, while insignificant amount of time, energy, and effort is spent on eternal matters. For the spiritual myope, eternity is out of focus. A parable is a short story that conveys a spiritual truth. It has been said that a parable is an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. The person who is spiritually nearsighted would have no difficulty understanding the earthly story, but would have difficulty bringing into focus the heavenly meaning of the parable. Spiritual hyperopia, also referred to as hypermetropia or farsightedness, is the opposite of spiritual myopia or spiritual nearsightedness. Spiritual hyperopia is similar to physical hyperopia. Spiritual hyperopia, spiritual farsightedness, is the spiritual vision refractive condition where far vision is in sharp focus, but near vision is out of focus, where far and near is a measure in the dimension of time, as with mental hyperopia. However, with spiritual farsightedness, time is not confined to the time-space continuum, as is with mental hyperopia, but rather extends from eternity to eternity. Spiritual hyperopia is the spiritual refractive condition where far vision, matters concerning the eternal destiny of the soul, and similar matters that are beyond the limits of the space-time continuum are in sharp focus, and carnal matters of earthly existence are out of focus. Matters that are beyond the limits of the time-space include questions related to our spiritual journey concerning the meaning and purpose of life, life after death, God, eternal truth, the Bible, and the gospel message. Time, energy, and effort of the person who is spiritually hyperopic, spiritually farsighted, is spent focused on eternal matters, while insignificant amount of time, energy, and effort is spent on temporal, daily living matters. For the spiritual hyperope, temporal matters are out of focus. As mentioned earlier, a parable is a short story that conveys a spiritual truth. It has been said that the parable is an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. The person who is spiritually farsighted would have no difficulty understanding the heavenly meaning of the parable, but might have some difficulty relating to certain aspects and details of the earthly story. The person who has spiritual astigmatism has difficulty focusing on both far and near. Everything is somewhat out of focus. Some things in the far is clear, and some things at far are out of focus. The same is true for near vision. Some things are in focus, and some near objects are out of focus. For example, with physical astigmatism, a person may be able to read half the letters correct and half incorrect in a visual acuity test, both at far distance and at near distance. The vision is distorted, affecting some of the letters at far distance and affecting some of the letters at near distance. Astigmatism causes a distortion of vision at both near and far, which leads to visual confusion. There is an incomplete view and subsequent interpretation of what is seen because some things are in focus and some are out of focus in all three time zones, past, present, and future. This is Vision Crossroads, the place where we gather at the intersection of light and sight to focus on health, wellness, and fullness of life. Vision Crossroads introduces and features the 7 principles and precepts of my phenomenal VIP program, which is officially known as the Rev. Leonidas the Optometrist Phenomenal Vision Intervention and Prevention Visual Literacy Program. Vision is a physical, mental, and spiritual phenomena of enlightenment. When we define vision in this manner, we are referring to phenomenal life-sight vision, also known as phenomenal vision. At Vision Crossroads, we use a technique called learning by comparison. We look at physical vision and show by comparison that physical vision is like mental vision and spiritual vision. Then we relate mental vision and spiritual vision to mental and spiritual issues in life. The term mental vision also includes the psychosocial aspects that influence mental processes. At Vision Crossroads, we look at how physical vision, mental vision, and spiritual vision compare and relate to the 3 dimensions of human existence: body, soul, and spirit. We look at the 3 dimensions of the human soul: emotion, mind, and volition, and bring into focus the important role the human soul plays in the decision-making process. At Vision Crossroads, we focus on how vision, phenomenal vision, can help you grab all the gusto life has to offer. At Vision Crossroads, we look at how vision, phenomenal vision, can help you make your next chapter your best chapter. At Vision Crossroads, we help you see more clearly how vision, phenomenal vision, can help you live your best life. At Vision Crossroads, we help you see more clearly how vision, phenomenal vision, can change your outlook of life and put you on course to walk in the fullness of life. At Vision Crossroads, we use the technique of learning by comparison. Just as clear vision from a pair of glasses can change the course of a child's life, a clearer understanding of phenomenal vision can change the course of your life. This program was written and produced by me, Reverend Dr. Leonidas A. Johnson, and is presented to you by the Rev. Leonidas the Optometrist and the Miracle Eyes Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Copyright 2025, the Johnson Living Trust.